What's up, everyone? It's Fuzzy. Welcome back to yet another MLB recap, the first recap of the 2026 second half. We have a lot to talk about. We have Francisco Lindor trade rumors because the Mets literally said, hey, we got these guys you can't trade for. Lindor wasn't on that list. The A's are calling up a super prospect, one of my favorite nicknames of all time, Tommy Tanks. The Red Sox, a lot of weird stuff is going on because they're allegedly trying to trade for James Wood, and Jarren Duran is now in more beef. The Reds just gave a guy $100 million. The Brewers and the Astros made a trade. Lance McCullers is now a Milwaukee Brewer, and the son of Prince Fielder just got sent back to the Astros. Again, a lot to talk about in today's recap, and if you're new here, I do this every single day, so stick around, leave a like, and hit that subscribe button. And as always, don't forget to save yourself $20 off on SeatGeek with code Fuzzy, and if you download Underdog Fantasy today, they're going to give you $50 and a free pick. Before we get into the trades and the extensions and all the breaking news, I do want to talk about the first game of the 2026 second half, and the first home run belongs to El Troll Francisco Rodriguez. His 10th home run of the season went into the trees, and by the way, it looks a little bit smoky because I guess there's a wildfire going on right now, so hopefully everyone's out there staying safe. Brett Baty, he took the elevator to get to this pitch. He's hitting .302 over his last 11 games. I don't know if the Mets are going to be able to make a comeback, but if they do, Beatty's going to be a big reason why they do get back into it. El Troll did it again. Look at this swing. This is like me trying to play on anything past, Hall of Fame on MLB The Show, or maybe even just All-Star. If I get to Hall of Fame or Legend and I play against some of you freaks of nature, you just turn and burn on turbo sinkers. It makes no sense. Trey, he did the same thing. He turned on an inside pitch and he did the impossible. Trey Turner's home run off of Luke Weaver is the first earned run that Weaver has allowed since April 30th. So that is a great sign for Phillies fans, despite the L, because Trey, he was horrific in the first half. AJ Ewing, the youngster for the Mets, he's been so good this year. He got that Trey Turner run back to give Devin Williams some insurance, and Devin Williams now has 100 saves for his career, which sounds too few. Like, I thought he had way more than that. But back to Ewing and another guy in that last game, Christian Scott. He started that game, and man, did he look good. I can't gloss over Ewing and Scott because they're going to come back up in the recap in a second, but Scott had 7 strikeouts over 7 scoreless, and look at the upstairs splitter with 97 plus miles an hour on a fastball right after, and it's just tunneling. All he's doing is setting up the fastball with that upstairs splitter. He's got a nasty sweet piece, and he just got labeled as untouchable along with AJ Ewing by the Mets front brass, along with McLean, Soto, and Benj. Who's the one guy that we're missing from the untouchables? Francisco Lindor. The New York Mets are reportedly willing to trade anyone not named Soto, Benj, Ewing, Scott, and McLean. And me personally, I see a lot of Cleveland fans wanting Francisco Lindor back on the Guardians. And to be honest, I kind of tapped out on that whole idea after he admitted, if you guys don't remember this, I need to joggle your memory. He admitted to dogging it in his final season with the Guardians, that he did not go crazy in the weight room and that he got tired to end the season. And then he had some weird beef with the fan base because they called him Frankie. Fast forward to 2026, Rocchio is blossoming. He's been better than Francisco Lindor, but I will give you credit. Lindor has been very unlucky this year. That's why his stats aren't as good. When the luck turns around like a Manny Machado, he'll be doing just fine, and that would be a fun trade. Like, him and J-Ram back together would go crazy with that pitching staff and the up-and-coming guys like a DeLauder, Bazana. Hopefully they keep Rocchio. But yeah, Lindor, he could be getting traded, and the Mets are basically telling other front offices, like other front offices kind of snitched on the Mets, basically telling on the Mets and saying, yeah, these are the guys you cannot even ask about, but Bichette, Francisco Lindor, make an offer. That was the only game from yesterday, so let's talk about all of the other kind of smaller stuff. Chase Burns, he just got paid. The Reds, they gave him a 7-year, $105 million extension. He just turned 23 years old, so this will run until he's 30 years old, and a lot of fans are kind of scratching their head and wondering why in the world a guy this talented would sell himself so short, because he's not going to be a free agent until 30 years old. The only thing is he's only buying out 2 years of free agency because he did take a little bit longer to get to the big leagues. The fact that the Reds now have him and Hunter Green locked up for less than $170 million is crazy. It kind of reminds me of when the Braves locked up Albies and Ronald. Those were generational discounts, but a lot of people are saying this Chase Burns one could be right up there with a Ronald-type extension. Coming up next, we have a trade. We have Prince Fielder's son getting traded for Lance McCullers Jr. So the Astros, they're officially giving up on McCullers. I don't know if that means that they're giving up on the 2026 season, but yes, Jaden Fielder, the 21-year-old outfielder, he is going back to the Astros. And I want to talk about Jaden Fielder for just a second because we'll get into the McCullers and also one other guy going to the Brewers. Again, we'll get there in a moment. The Astros did this because they have Ronel Blanco and Hayden Wesneski set to return, so they needed to open up 2 40-man roster spots, so that's a big reason why Lance McCullers is getting shipped out. Now, Jaden Fielder, again, he's the son of Prince, grandson of Cecil. He had 3 home runs, 23 RBIs, 10 stolen bases, and an .815 OPS in 45 single-A games this year, and his follow-through looks exactly like his dad. Just like his dad, he takes his walks. He's very patient. He's got strong exit velocities, so the Astros, they view him as a kind of bat first prospect with enough versatility to play some left field, maybe some second base, although, I mean, right now he's not currently ranked as like an elite prospect, but he could keep on progressing, and especially considering the Astros are fairly good at developing guys, I feel like this is a good little pickup for a guy like Lance McCullers who could never stay healthy. That kind of makes me sad because I wanted to see Jaden Fielder in a Brewers uniform just like his dad. But anyways, the Brewers, they're acquiring Lance McCullers Jr. and left-hander Colton Gordon, as well as some cash, and all they're really trying to do is make sure that they have enough depth because they have Brandon Woodruff, Kyle Harrison, and Mizorowski kind of all going through arm fatigue and different health issues of their own, so they're bringing in McCullers, who also is very injury prone. He had an almost 7 ERA before suffering a right rotator cuff impingement, but if you look at the advanced stats, they have it's still pretty bad, a 4.5 expected ERA, and his curveball has always been one of the best in the league. He has a 48% whiff rate on the curveball, so he's going to the Brewers. All they really do is unlock guys, Andrew Vaughn, Kyle Harrison. It doesn't matter if it's a batter or a hitter. They really like to just hone in on someone that they can rent and then turn into back into their old self. Colton Gordon, he struggled this year, allowing 12 earned runs in 9 1/3. But in AAA this year, he did have a 3.6 ERA with a 1.1 whip. So the Brewers, they really like his kind of deceptive command and his secondary pitches. And he's also under team control for the next 5 years. So even if Lance McCullers leaves after this season, I believe he's a free agent after 2026, maybe they can turn Colton Gordon into a dude. Like, that could be a thing. Speaking of being a dude, I thought that Robert Hassel III was going to be a dude. He came on over in the Juan Soto trade with CJ Abrams and James Wood, and we thought that maybe Hassel could be a mini PCA, and don't forget that they also have Harlan Susana coming up, and he's been a strikeout machine, and if Robert Hassel would have hit, this would have been one of the greatest trades, if not the greatest return for a superstar in the history of sports, because Hassel, he was a top 40 prospect in 2022 and 2023, and people like me, I kind of thought, I see a mini PCA, because he hit 310 with an 840 OPS in AAA last year, then he stunk it up after getting called up, and I'm not sure if he was pressing or his mechanics changed and completely fell apart once he got called up, but it's leaking into this year. He's barely batting 200 with an OPS under 600 in AAA, and unfortunately, that all led to him getting DFA'd. The Nationals don't believe in him. The Pirates do, though. Pirates, they swooped in after hearing that Robert Hassel was DFA'd. They only had to give away cash. There might be a player to be named later, but the Pirates, they're hoping that just like the Brewers can fix Lance McCullers, maybe they can unlock Robert Hassel, because again, he was once a super prospect, and a big reason why the Padres did trade away Juan Soto. A lot of people thought that Robert Hassel could be the best player in this trade. In other news, the A's, they've made a couple different roster moves. They had to let go of Aaron Savali, who I think should never be a starting pitcher ever again. I don't know if you guys have really dug into the stats of Savali. I know it's a small sample size, but he actually has a way better strikeouts per 9 as a reliever. So yeah, Savali, I know that you want to be a starting pitcher and get paid like a starting pitcher, but you're just not that guy anymore. But they released or DFA'd Savali to make room for Tommy Tanks. Tommy White, he had 24 home runs and 105 RBIs in like 60-something games as a sophomore in college. And then this year in AAA, he has 10 home runs and 64 RBIs with another 300-plus batting average. Tommy White in the same lineup as a first name Nick, last name Kurt. Hopefully Jacob Wilson can stay healthy. Soderstrom, Shea Bangaliers. I'm telling you guys, the A's, they have insane offensive prospect after insane offensive prospect. I don't know if they should fully give up on 2026 just yet, but the fact that they still have DeVries and Arnold down the pipeline, it's just kind of ridiculous how deep their farm system is, and I really hope that they can add some money on top of it, because they have spent some money. I'm not going to say a bunch of money. A lot of it has been extensions and just retaining guys, but in terms of bringing in new talent, they got to start in 2027, because as you can see, they're having to call up prospect after prospect after prospect, just try and fill in the gaps, because their depth is not very good. Now, because we just brought him up, James Wood, we know that he was in that Juan Soto trade with Robert Hassel. We have some James Wood and also Jarren Duran stuff to talk about. So James Wood is reportedly, according to I think he's a Spanish broadcaster for the Red Sox. He's saying that the Red Sox have opened up dialogue to try and get James Wood in a trade. Alongside that, Jarren Duran, he's getting called out by a couple people on Twitter, the fact that he said that the whole middle finger thing that happened last year with a fan was blown up by a Boston podcaster, and then he called him a bunch of things, and that if he ever saw him again, he would beat him up. So yeah, a lot of Red Sox fans don't want Jarren Duran anymore, and now people are linking Duran to potentially the Nationals, but that doesn't make any sense. It would have to be Jarren Duran and like 4 or 5 other top prospects or star players to get James Wood, a generational player. So that was weird, but I had to talk about it because what in the world is going on with James Wood trade rumors and Duran maybe getting booted off the Red Sox? Well, everyone, that does it for today's recap. I hope that you all enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to leave a like. And also, I did not forget, I asked you guys a couple days ago to predict who was going to win the home run derby, and a lot of you guys thought that you were slick. You commented something, went back and edited it. Like, I can see you edited it, okay? I'm not dumb. Jason Wood 9852, you were the first person to comment Jordan Walker, and you actually did. You didn't go back and edit it. So I'll be sending you $100, and if you guys want more chances at just me giving back, because I want to do that more often. You guys have been supporting me for years. I want to support in return. So we're going to do more giveaways. Don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch you in the next one.